See, in the name itself, it says it's a feedback, right? So, feedback which is 360 degrees. So, how do we get 360s? Suppose if you actually put yourself at the middle as a kind of dot. Use of 360 degree feedback is very essential because the level of self-awareness that a person needs to have. 360 degree feedback as a process itself is a very, very sensitive one. Primarily because we are talking about experienced people and helping one individual to understand what people are thinking about you, right? What is their perception of you and what has been their experience of working with you. So the report only offers an awareness that what people think of me and what suggestions that they are offering to me. See, in the name itself, it says it's a feedback, right? So, feedback which is 360 degrees. So, how do we get 360s? Suppose if you actually put yourself at the middle as a kind of dot, and when you count the degrees all around it, the one full circle will have 360 degrees. So, in the context of 360 degree feedback, what it means is you're keeping the person at the middle and the person is seeking feedback from peers, colleagues, from the internal customers or external customers sometimes, or from the bosses or the seniors, or from the juniors, right? So it could be team members or other junior colleagues. So if a person is standing at the middle and seeking feedback from all sides, then it becomes a 360 degree feedback. And usually any manager, any leader who is keen to understand how people are perceiving me all around me, they use 360 degree feedback. The use of 360 degree feedback is very essential because the level of self-awareness that a person needs to have, what people are thinking about me. How do they actually come to know unless you have a systematic process like a 360 degree feedback survey? So unless there is a process like this, it's very difficult for them to understand what people think of me. So therefore, for self-awareness, 360 is important. And to help leaders be more sensitive towards all stakeholders, organizations use 360 degree feedback. As a tool, 360 degree feedback has been in existing for a very, very long time. In the context of HR footprints, we have been using it almost about 15 plus years. Yeah, we've been offering this service for almost 15 plus years. It's a good question. See, 360 degree feedback survey can also be done within an organization itself, by the HR department itself. They can set it up. If they have an IT tool, they can run the survey, they can generate reports, they can do all of that. But one of the primary reasons why we have noticed that consulting companies are approached, for example, HR footprints, why do clients reach out to, HR footprints is for the sake of giving that assurance to all the respondents that this data is handled completely by a different outside party and no one within the system has access. So to maintain that confidentiality, I think they resort to a client asks for a company like HR Footprints. That is a primary reason. The other one is, of course, the expertise that we bring to the table, that we know how to design a questionnaire. We understand the competencies that are required for each company, and accordingly we tune all our statements to suit those competencies. And obviously there's a lot of intense follow-up that is required during that specific window of the survey. So all that is now taken care by HR Footprints. So for these multiple benefits, obviously organizations reach out to HR Footprints to run the 360 degree feedback survey. The steps involved in running a 360 degree feedback is we primarily try to understand what is the purpose for which the client organization is asking us to run this particular survey. The purpose is most important. Number one, why are we doing this? The second one is, what competencies would you like to cover as a part of this survey? Because that varies from company to company, so therefore we need to understand that piece. And then the third stage is we design a questionnaire and we go back and forth a couple of iterations and get a sign off on that. Then we set up the entire the technology platform where it is virtually now sent out, administered, irrespective of the locations. Globally it can be administered. And once all the data comes, we look at the aggregated data. We don't look at any one individual response at all. It is completely aggregated and we generate the reports. And these reports are again delivered to either the respective leaders or the person who is receiving the feedback. Or in some organizations, they say the HR department wants to have all these reports, or the CEO wants to have all these reports for further use within their organization. So these are all multiple steps involved in running a 360-degree feedback survey. 360-degree feedback as a process itself is a very, very sensitive one. Primarily because we are talking about experienced people, like they may be called as managers, leaders, whatever designations that they have. They are receiving feedback in an official, structured kind of a manner. So couple of things that we must ensure is the confidentiality. If we don't assure all the people who are offering this feedback complete confidentiality, it's very difficult for people to be very honest, very genuine in their feedback. So they might try to sort of please their bosses, and we may not really get very genuine data. So that is number one, confidentiality. And the next one is very, very important, that anonymity has to be maintained. We should not be knowing or tracing back who said what. The usual temptation is, if someone has offered some feedback, I want to know who gave me this feedback. So that is something that we assure every respondent, that confidentiality and anonymity is completely 100% assured. Interesting question. When it started 360-degree feedback, it started as a developmental tool that I am helping one individual to understand what people are thinking about you, right? What is their perception of you, and what has been their experience of working with you. So it's more for that self-awareness, so that the person will have enough data to think, reflect, and bring about any personal changes and develop oneself. So it is meant for development to begin with. But of late, occasionally we also see that 360 is also used as a part of performance assessment with certain percentage weightage. For example, with some companies we have noticed that 80% weightage is given to your deliverables, what are the results, your goals, and 20% is given based on your 360 feedback score. So people do bring that in. And when we understand why do organizations like to use 360 as a part of performance assessment, it is to bring about that sensitivity among everyone, that you better manage relationships with your colleagues very well, and you need to collaborate, and you need to promote these cross-functional interactions, etc. So to promote a culture like that, they take X percentage of weightage and assign it to 360-degree feedback. But majority of the time we use 360 for development, but occasionally as a part of assessment as well. We call it as 180-degree, we call it a 360. Now I think of late I've been hearing about 720-degree feedback. You see, all said and done, I think as I was mentioning, there's a circle and the full circle is 360-degree feedback. When you repeat this cycle 2 times, so for example, at the beginning, I do a 360-degree feedback and I give you the report, and then I help you to work on yourself, improve yourself. And let's say after 6 months or 8 months, I will rerun another 360 for you. So then we have a comparison between how far have you progressed, have you changed. So this is 360 plus 360 together is 720. Yeah, I think receiving a report is definitely not the final stage. In fact, that could be the beginning of the development process. So the report only offers an awareness that what people think of me and what suggestions that they are offering to me. Now, once an individual receives this 360-degree feedback, the next one, I think what one should really do is take a little time, process the entire data, identify which areas you would like to improve upon, because people may offer tens, twenties of suggestions. So it's not possible for you to act on all of them. So you have to prioritize which one will have a huge impact on your approach, your leadership aspects, etc. So pick up those top areas where you want to work on and improve yourself. And in that process, you may need a coach. You may need to have a dialogue with your reporting manager. Or if you think I'm confident I can work on myself, maybe then individual can also work on that report. But the important thing is organizations also should not be leaving by handing over a report to the individual. They also should be asking, reviewing, not in a way of critical reviews as such. It is more to say that it's a serious process and the report is not the last stage. And why we have run this 360 is to help you improve things. And when organizations demonstrate that seriousness, individuals also start processing the report and they start working on themselves. Ultimately, leadership development, manager development, people development, if that is a primary objective, 360 report is not the final thing. There must be a lot of follow-ups subsequent to that.